Okay, so hello and welcome everyone. I'm finally back after all surgery and hospital stuff with another mentoring session. Since I've had a lot of people request to find a scout for a mentoring session, I thought why not listen to all those cool people and make it happen. So for the first session, I've got the American Invite Scout Cyzer, and Cyzer currently plays for Team BP. It's Banny's team, like the guy who's the god. As per usual, all the American Invite players are streaming, so Cyzer isn't an exception. He has his own Twitch TV stream, so if you're interested in Scouty Man POV, visit his Twitch TV page at twitch.tv/Cyzer. Tonight our focus is going to be Scout on CP Gullywash map. So we'll start with the basic stuff for Scout on Gullywash, and then at the end of the stream I'll give him the Team Fortress.tv thread questions. So before we start with the questions, I would like to give a word to Cyzer to introduce himself, since I suppose not everyone is familiar with him. There you go.
Well, you did a good job introducing me. I do play Scout for BP, which is Banny the God's team, and I've been playing since mid 2008 for Quantic, BP, EMG for the last couple years, and before that I was on Evil Geniuses. That was Destro, Reptile, all those people there. Yeah. So I've been playing for a while. I know the game a little pretty well. So looking
Okay.
forward to this.
Okay. Alright, so that was his introduction, and let's get into the basic stuff now for the Gullywash and Scout. So the first question would be, what are the possible rollouts for Scout and Gullywash?
Okay, you can do this two different ways off the start. You can go lower and then you can go up top to choke. If I'm gonna go lower, there's two ways to go. You can go top right or top left, or you can just push lower, but that's more unconventional because you won't have very good ground on anybody. This is only good if you want to flank their lower and you want to like attack them when they're jumping up. But usually, if I'm going to go left, I'm going to go off this awning and up to there. And when I do this, I'm going to come in from here. I'm going to look to see if the demo man's right there. Because if he's going to be right there, he's going to be looking at me. And if he's looking at me, he's going to throw a sticky right on the awning. Because this is Devilman's favorite spot to throw a sticky. If he's coming in from lower and I don't see him there, I'm going to wait 1 second. I'm going to see if a sticky comes across here. If it does or if it doesn't, then I know I can go that way right away. If I see it coming, I'm just going to wait for him to shoot in dead, because he's going to be firing him from lower down there, and he won't be able to see it. It's going to be a prediction sticky, but he's going to have it perfectly timed for when I normally jump up there. So you always got to make sure you're not going to take that initial damage, because if you get hit by the sticky going up the top left, it's going to completely screw up your jump, and you're going to be like down on the ground with like 70-60 health, and you're going to have to wait for the med. One idea people have is to delay. I don't like that idea, because if you delay and the demo man is up there, he's just gonna sticky out your combo if they're going lower too. So normally I'll just wait 1 second but be in visible range of the demo man, so he at least looks at me if he's up there. So I'll go top left. Oh, if I can, make the jump. And then I will either wait for the jumper here or push across point there. If I go right, I usually don't like to do it if the demo man is staring at me, but if he's kind of distracted or someone's jumped, I'll go top right, and I'll try and hold this for the jumpers or scout. If I'm going to go choke, basically the main goal is to see where their scouts are coming from and, get good field vision. Two things I like to do is, usually a scout's trying to come up here or over there. I like to see where they're coming from and then wait for the jumpers and then catch them here if I'm going choke. Or this is the one time I might delay, is I might delay here. I haven't done this a lot this season, but I did it in past seasons. I'll delay here, go down the drop down, wait to hear the rocket jumps, because you'll be able to hear them, and then just kill the med, because he's usually down low on his own. Those are pretty much the rollouts I do. There are other ones you can, like, basically just going on the floor, pushing across, which I don't really like, and you can go up this thing where you have to, like, hold it, and then jump again and go straight up to point. And I don't like that a lot because you're kind of slow on this thing, and you can get killed quite quickly going up this thing. And if you kind of mess it up, you're kind of screwed. But it's kind of hard to mess it up. You just have to wait and then jump again. But it is kind of slow, and if somebody's looking here, you're kind of like an easy pick off it. So those are the main rollouts I do. You can vary them up a little bit, but there are specific reasons I like doing those ones. Like if I'm going choke, if this is clear, I like to jump on this thing, because then I can just jump around up in the air and have pretty good height on jumping soldiers.
Okay. The next question would be different middle fight tactics. Like, what do you do, like in BP and middle? Like, do you jump top left or top right? Do you prefer to stay defensive, with your Delman, like, or do you stay with the medic? Like, how does it work in BP, for example? What works the best?
Honestly, in Gullywash, it's a small middle, so I like to play by ear. Normally, it depends on how we're winning that fight. If we're not doing so well, I'll probably stay with the med, try and get him out. If I notice their team is jumping a lot, we'll probably play up top and just wait for jumpers. But if I know their scouts are playing together and doing a rush on our demo man, which like most teams like to do since our demo's banny, I'll usually just lurk around him and just pick off anybody who goes for it. It really depends on the play, and I don't want to say specific plays because I don't think we even have them yet, to be honest. We just started screaming it yesterday, and it's a pretty new team. But pretty much I'm just going to be waiting for my opportunity on middle because there's a lot of easy early damage you can take on this map, and that's what I'm avoiding mostly.
Okay, fair enough. What do you focus on middles? Like, what are your main targets?
It depends on how the team's playing. If the demoman's left alone, he's usually going to be trying to spam soldiers across the points. You can usually get a good angle on him from either there, or I'm trying to be unseen as much as possible and just kill off anything that's on its own. The three things I'll focus are demoman, especially if he's top there, soldiers if they're jumping, or any lone scouts or whatnot. I'll go after the med if he's alone, but I'm not going to just bother suiciding him because I feel like at this point he's kind of irrelevant. But if the demo man's alone, he gets priority. If not, I'm going to go for a jumping soldier. If not, I'm just going to go for scouts. Those are how I prioritize things.
What about like defending and pushing second and last points? Like, how would you, let's say, push like the second point?
Pushing second, really, I'm just gonna play based on what our team's doing. So
okay.
If we're going for and if we have Uber and they have Uber and we're going for a force play, we'll let the roamer go in and then I'll play based on that. If there's an opening, I'll go in to try to make the med pop, or struggle will go in and make the med pop, and then we'll play it safer so that we'll have at least 4 people up for their counter push. If we have Uber advantage, well, obviously we're just going to rush in, and normally we'll try and hold the Uber as long as possible. It depends on the team and how they like to play their demo man. We usually go the opposite way and then just push them out. If they have Uber, we'll just wait for them to make a move, to be honest, because on middle point, once they Uber in, it's just so easy to scatter that you can just waste their Uber and then like converge on them after the Uber's done. That's how I'd push to. If I was to defend to, I'd probably just I'd probably play based on where our numbers are weak. So if our soldier and scout are down here, I'll probably play around. If we're anticipating they're going to go for a force play, I might play by the rock or up top or somewhere where I can catch the soldier. Beyond that, defending to is just about making them make a mistake. Unless we're like down on time and we'll just have to go, in which case it's just kind of play by ear.
Yeah, because it's kind of like hard to push like from second to middle, like you said. It's just like middle is so open, you can just easily run away, and then like when you push from second to middle, it's just totally different thing. Like you get one pick and then basically you can go, but if it's like 6 versus 6, then it's totally different.
Yeah, and you can't really just sneak behind them, so you're gonna always have to play the pick advantage because these are the smallest chokes probably of any map. Like top choke is tiny. There's a little drop down where if you go in it, you're dead if they see you. And then this big door, you have a lot of ground to make up to actually get to the combo because they're up top. So pushing 2 is rather hard, and I'd only suggest doing it if you have some sort of advantage, whether it be like Uber advantage or like number advantage. That's the only time I'd push out on 2. I'd rather just let them fuck up their push and then just counter that. But if I'm low on time or we have to like win the round out, then yeah, you know, just do your best kind of thing.
Okay, and then like what about last? How do you push last?
Okay, there's a few things you can do on last. It
Like-
really depends on their setup though. I mean, if they're running a heavy, we'll just lead with the demo man and I'll come in after. If they have a heavy NG, again, we'll just make sure those things go down first, then I'll come in. Or if I'm pushing last, I might try to go unseen into the river, force them to come down and take care of me, and then we'll have like number advantage somewhere else, and hopefully we'll win that fight. Another thing is the off-classing you can do. Sometimes I like to go sniper and just go for 1 pick or 2 picks, and we'll push on that. Or occasionally, and I don't know how often I'm going to do this because I haven't practiced it this season, is I'll go in for a sack, come back as heavy, and then just make sure we get in there, and then I'll come in after fully buffed and try and clean anything else up.
Yeah, you can actually use like Pyro and Heavy. Like my team have tried that. Like we use the Pyro. Like the Pyro went with Uber into water, you know, and basically the team got distracted, and the Pyro just kept there blasting them and got the point. Like you can, you know, it's so hard to like defend the point, especially if there is a Pyro on the point. You'll just literally like, you know, reflect everyone off the point. It is so good. Like same for Heavy, basically.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about pushing him river or something like that, but I don't know. We might test it. It's something I haven't thought about. Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like it might work.
There you go, a tactic.
Yeah, there we
Okay.
go. Stealing from the air.
Okay, then I'm gonna get to Team Fortress TV questions now. So the first question was like asked by by 2 guys. It's Pot and Stark. Like heavy to mid, is it viable? How would you counter a heavy strategy on middle?
Here's the thing. Heavy on mid is viable, but it takes a lot of team coordination to do it. And it takes the heavy knowing how to actually play heavy. A lot of people think you're just gonna rev up and just start shooting here, when in fact you gotta like make sure you're getting the ground on them. And a lot of people also do the heavy sniper thing, where you're just gonna be on ground with the heavy defending the sniper, and the sniper's the one getting the pick. I found that rather easy to counter based on the fact that, you know, we have a lot of good spamming classes. You really just need to focus them as a team. You can't just let the demo man be the one to take care of them. You have to at least do some sort of distraction. And once you get the heavy down, the rest of the team seems to be in disarray because all the heals went to that heavy. So once you get that heavy down, you've pretty much won the mid-fight. I don't know if we're gonna try it. I don't know if it's worth doing anymore, but teams have gotten a lot better at focusing down targets. So
Yeah.
the heavy shouldn't be able to get the ground that it needs to actually become such a threat that a scout couldn't beat, or a roaming soldier. So if you want to counter the heavy, make sure your team is on the same page. Make sure the demo man does start spamming it, but he's not the only one to do it, because it takes too many stickies and pipes to take down a heavy on his own. So whether it be a scout or a soldier also fighting that heavy, just do it at once and do it quickly, and the heavy will be out of the way and you have won that mid. That is just my advice for that. Sniper, on the other hand, just bomb a roaming soldier on him. I know there's a lot of good snipers, but if you get pressure on him early, he's not getting that shot off. So you just need to be aware as a team of what they're running and how they're doing it.
Okay. And like we forgot to talk about it, like defending the last point.
Defending last,
Do you like
pretty much.
do you like off classing? Do you go like pyro?
I like
whatever?
off classing. It's a tiny last, right? So anything you do is probably gonna have enough range to fire on everything. So I'll do heavy, I'll do NG. The only thing I suggest is making sure that you're not in like typical spots. because teams have practiced their last pushes based on where typical spots are and how to destroy things down there. So the things people will focus on when attacking last is if there's a heavy down here and whatever they call it, like secret or whatever, or a gun up right here or there. I like to just mix it up if I have the time and put like guns wherever the hell I want, because that way they have to look for it a little bit, and it'll be less of them just spamming blindly and taking down things than they'd actually have to get the eyes on what I'm doing. So I feel like our last holds are pretty good based on that. Sometimes put the heavy up here, sometimes put the heavy near the combo, sometimes put the heavy over there. Do whatever you want as long as your players know when to switch back to scout or soldier or whatnot. But I feel like you can be very creative with this last because everything seems to work as long as you have the areas covered. And always make sure you have eyes on what goes into river and what comes out of it. Because if they get underwater, well, not underwater, but where the water was, without you seeing it, then you're going to always be looking around to see if they're going to back. And when you push out, always keep track of the numbers and what is alive and what died and when. So that way you won't get back cap by it. That's the main worry about this map, is it's also easy to back cap.
So basically, like, scout is kinda useless on last. Like, you
I don't normally run, like, what I may do. Oh, this isn't my spawn. What I may do is I might snipe for a bit, then switch to scout, just because the scout will be the first one out. I like to put the sniper somewhere where I can just take a couple shots and then switch off really quick and then come out scout, because the scout will be the quickest one out from the spawn point. But other than that, if I was just here waiting for them to push, I probably wouldn't be scout. I'd probably be something that would draw a lot of fire, because I don't really need to clean up. But if I get low and I'm near the spawn, of course I'm going to switch to scout first, because I mean he's the first one to be able to get out if I'm a scout, because I can't do a rocket jump out of spawn obviously other than any other class.
Alright, so the next question would be from Azelf. If the enemy team is capping mid and you're behind them on like, let's say Gullywash, because he said any map, is there a situation where you wouldn't want to back up as a scout?
Yeah, when I wouldn't back up as a scout is if I know they're not going to, like, I know I'm not going to get it, right? Because if they know they're going to cap mid, like they have like 6 on it and a lot of time on it, there's no point in me touching the point to let them know exactly where I am. And I understand that they may know I'm behind, but if I touch the point, they'll know I'm at this location specifically. So I will base it on, if I'm stuck behind them, I will probably just use my power to distract if I know I can't get the back cap. But if the back cap is possible, sure, I'm going to go on it. I'm going to make them come back to me, and I'm going to make me stop capping. But if I know I'm not going to get it, I'm not even going to bother touching the point until they cap me, because that'll just tell them where I am. And if they know I'm behind, they'll at least have to take care of me or look for me for a little bit, which will buy me time. Ideally, I don't want to be behind them when they're capping mid and I don't have a chance at the back cap, but you know, it happens. So
okay, fair enough. The next question is by Drem. Your team is going right side on mid, including Diamond as well. On normal rollouts, there is at least one scout defending the Diamond. For example, me. As that scout, do you go drop down and try to ninja kill something, or do you go straight on the point with the other scout?
Wait, he's saying as a scout that's supposed to defend the demo man, he's going drop down?
Yeah.
I mean, how are you going to defend the demo man if you're on the ground? I don't understand.
I'm just gonna repeat the question.
Alright.
Your team is going right side on the mid, including the down man. On normal rollouts, there is at least one scout defending the down man. He says, for example, me. As that scout, do you go drop down and try to ninja kill something, or do you go straight on the point with the other scout?
Okay, so he's going right, so I'm guessing they're floor. So the Devilman's probably here, is what he's saying. And he's probably pushing up here?
Yeah, they're all pushing right.
I'd probably just lead the fight and go up top, honestly, because like ninja flanking things, if I'm trying to make sure our Devilman's the one getting damage, isn't going to really do much. I'd probably just jump up here, at least make myself known and be a target for a little bit, and then let our demo man get him set up, and then I'll push away. But I mean, really, the key to that right side push is communication. You got to know when your soldiers are jumping, and you got to know when your demo man's set in place. So, no, I wouldn't go for a flank kill if I'm on demo man protecting duties, which I have done a lot in the past. So, yeah, I think it's more about the team game more than getting the singular kill there.
Yeah, because like Gullywash is kinda, like rather small map, so you can't really afford to lose, too many players, especially scouts, because if you like miss a shot or something in like a really small area, you're most likely dead. So yeah. Okay, so the next question is, well, it's not like really for a scout, but anyway, I'll just ask it. Room88 is asking, why does he have a community gun? What did he make?
I actually had the very first community weapon in the game. I helped with a lot of competitive changes to the game back when there weren't many, and then I also helped lead that beta that happened for like a couple of weeks way back when. So I've had this gun for quite some time, but I've helped with some changes and bugs and stuff like that.
Okay, that's cool. Let me have a look. What other questions do we have? Okay, Named is asking, not on quite topic, but as demo man, if I get pressured by enemy scout, should my scout or scouts come with me on mid?
That's a team decision. If you're getting rushed by scouts and you don't feel confident in dealing with them, then yeah, have a scout with you. And then once you have the scout with you, that scout fight should be a lot easier. It just really depends on what your guys' strengths are. So if your scouts are good at protecting you on other maps, I'd have them definitely protect you there. Definitely play on the side where your teammates are, because you're not going to have enough ammo and firepower to like protect yourself and do damage. Like let the scouts protect you. You focus on getting vast damage, because basically you're going to win this map by getting more damage than you're taking. So again, yeah, have your scouts protect you if you're getting rushed. Just generally coordinate with them as much as you possibly can, and you can have both of them do it, and have one branch away and one push the combo if you want. It's just really dependent on when you feel comfortable.
Okay. Mayova05 is asking, as a scout, when should you 1 versus 1 like other scouts? Only when they're low? Like
I feel like me 1v1ing scouts is my strong suit, so I'll go for it every time. You really gotta just determine how strong of a scout you are and what your strengths are. Because I know a lot of scouts are really good against heavy classes like soldiers and demos and dodging projectiles. Like, for example, Ruin, Shrugger, those are like scouts that are really strong at like jumping around rockets and demo man, but are weaker on the scout 1v1 fights. Me, on the other hand, I like my scout 1v1 fights, so I'll probably take them at equal health. It really just depends on how confident you are at taking those fights. On that same note, if you get into a 1v1 and you continually back up, you're putting your team at a worse positional advantage, because you're backing up and then that scout has free range over that area you just gave up. So it really just depends on how you feel taking the 1v1. I mean, if you have teammates around who are not currently in a fight, then yeah, of course they should be helping you, but if it's like a mid-fight and you have that 1v1, you should take that 1v1, I think.
Okay, so if we start, talking about like 1v1 stuff, all the deathmatch stuff, Mayova05 is asking again, like, how would you, like, practice your aim? Like, what would you suggest to people who are new, how to keep up with other, like, invite scouts or something? What would you suggest? Like MG, DM, whatever.
I try all of those briefly every now and then. What I like to do to practice my DM is something that I'll find fun for the time. If I'm not having fun practicing, I'm not going to do it. So if you like DM over MGE, but you feel like MGE would be better for you, just go ahead and DM. If you just like playing pugs and that's the way you want to improve, go ahead and do that, because every scout in the game is different. For example, like Ruin will MGE all freaking day during the day, and then like take a break and then play his games. And then Clockwork, on the other hand, will never be on MGE. He'll occasionally DM, but not a lot. So he likes to get most of his practices in-game experiences. YZ50 is different in the fact that he'll never scout in MGE, but he'll DM a lot on scout, so he likes that the most. It really just depends on what will keep your interest, because if you're getting burned out on the game, there's no point in practicing because you're not going to be learning anything from it. And all of the practice methods I mentioned are valid as long as you just stick with it and you want to do it.
Okay, so it's like it's rather different. It's like what you
Yeah,
feel
every
is
every
the
play
best
is
at
different.
that moment.
I know Enigma likes to MG. I know a lot of other scouts do like to MG. I know some prefer DM. It's really dependent on what you like to do.
Okay. Well, his nickname is long. I'm gonna try to pronounce it correctly. Berthold Stutley Johnson is asking, is it better to divide them into 3 groups, combo, scout plus roamer, or scout plus dowman, or 2 groups, combo plus demo, scouts plus roamer? Question mark.
I've only played with teams that do 2 groups, which is just basically main way, which is usually combo, demo. And, the second group is scouts and roamer. Whereas I might split between the two and see whatever is weaker or whatever has the better opening. I'll go that way. But I don't know how realistic it is to split into 3 groups because I've never actually tried that. So that's a question that's kind of stumping me because like I've never tried a 3 group push. I don't even know how that would work on this map. Like one would go flank, one would go choke, and then I guess 2 would go lower behind. I don't know.
Okay.
Again, I'll break away from the group system if I see the opening, but so will most other people. That's really, you just play it based on ear.
Sleepyhead is asking, how often did you practice your DM before you reach invite? Like, how much dedication did you put in that, and what exactly did you do? Did you just, play 6v6 a lot?
I played 6v6 a lot into getting into invite. Like, I should also mention that I've been in invite as long as there's been an invite. So, ever since the group split into like Premier and whatnot, I've always been in it. So I didn't really have to practice to reach it. With that being said, DM and MG didn't exist at that time either. So I got all my practice just playing with my team and enjoying the game. All of that practice came later after I got into invite. But if I was to give advice to someone up and coming, I'd say real game experiences are much more important than just sitting in MGE and doing DM, because you need to learn what works and what doesn't, and what you can take from MGE and what you can take from DM that'll help you in actual game experiences. Because I see a lot of MGE and DM superstars whose games just don't translate into actual practice or an actual gameplay because it's not viable and they didn't take what they should have from their aim practice. That answers that.
Stringer underscore Bell is asking, if you take damage early at middle, do you prefer to go to medic or run back to the health pack, assuming the mid fight is still undecided and not many frags have gone down? That's a good question.
If that's the case, you need to be looking around as much as possible and seeing what the health of your teammates are like. If your med isn't occupied and he's like healing somebody who's good on health, then go ahead and go back to the med and get fully buffed and overhealed. It also depends if you're near a health pack. Like if I was up here and I got damaged, I'm not going to go down there towards the med when I have a health pack right here. But if I see another teammate waiting for the health pack, then I'll go for the med. I mean, again, it's all just situational, and you have to know when you're becoming a burden on your medic and when you're not, and when you can get that heal. Because you can go for health packs all you want, but a buff is also a lot better than just being 125 too. Also know if their medic is down and your medic is alive, you should always be playing around the medic so that you have that health advantage and no more people die. But yeah, again, it really just depends on what's near. If I'm on the point, med's down there, I'll call for medic. It's just really situational. You don't need to just be a health pack scout or a medic scout. You just need to go for what helps your team the most at that any given point.
Okay. And there was some guy I just missed. Oh, it was the name guy. He was asking like, how do you improve your movement? Do you just like once again you practice a lot, you notice that you have some kind of special movement or something? How would you say, like,
That's a question that I've been like pondering myself
Yeah,
for a while. Like I've always been wondering how I can improve my movement and become one of those like ridiculous, jumpy, glitchy scouts that you always see that somehow hit their shots. But really, all I see them doing is playing MG versus soldiers a lot because they're gonna be like practicing their movement against projectiles and dodging and trying to get closer to the soldier without taking damage. You know, so like if I had to recommend one way for scouts, it would just definitely be just playing soldiers or projectile classes in MGE or DM, just trying to take as little damage as possible while killing them. But for soldiers and stuff like that, jump maps seem a pretty good idea. But yeah, I mean, I've been wondering that myself. You'll watch me in game and I'll run into a box or something dumb like that all the time, causing me a few deaths. So if you guys find the answer to that, let me know.
Okay. Mayova05 is asking again, on mid-fights, do you work solo or you work with your scout partner? Who's your scout? Remind some
Shrugger is
people.
my scout partner this season. Honestly, I don't like to work solo too much unless I have good flank routes, but on the initial mid-fight, I will see where the damage is going, I'll see what needs help and what needs covering, and I'll play my game based on that, because as I played the game, I realized, like, I can go for high frag counts and whatnot and be the superstar scout, but I'd rather be the scout that helps my team win, you know? I'd rather play with the team and make sure most of my teammates stay alive and make sure we get the kills as a team than basically trying to solo 1v1 everything. I mean, it's always good to play with somebody and get a 2v1 than it is to play a 1v1. Whether that be playoff tag or landscape my soldiers damage, it really just depends. I mean, if I have to 1v1 I will, but preferably I would go for, you know, the easier kills so that we win that mid.
That means it was actually, like, his question is really good. Should you sacrifice yourself, like taking a rocket for your soldier downman? If, for example, your downman or soldier wasn't like 20 HP and there was a rocket coming, but you were weak as well, would you, sacrifice for like a soldier downman?
Here's the thing, I think that's too much of a quick decision to make. If I see my soldier weak and I'm weak, I'll go attack their soldier that's firing at us for sure. But I'm not gonna take a rocket just because, I don't know, maybe the splash will kill both of us.
Like, for example, you can't really dodge it, like you're, for example, some close space, but your teammate, like a diamond, for example, is literally just behind you. And like, for example, a soldier was firing a rocket, then like, what would you do? Would you?
Well, again, I mean, probably,
it's rather difficult, but if you can.
I feel like that's a situation that I've never even occurred, where I've like looked behind, saw my demo was weak, then looked forward and saw the soldier firing at him, and noticed that I was weak too. I don't think that situation ever actually occurs for me. But if I saw my demo man getting attacked by a soldier and I knew I was weak but I could get health, then I'd attack the soldier instead, because I want my demo man alive over me. But I just can't think of an experience where I've taken a rocket for somebody other than Shade once, or medic. I mean, I have taken a rocket for a medic once, but I've never taken a rocket for anyone else because I don't really know their health. I know Shade's health because he's healing me at the time, and it'll say he's weak, so I'll definitely like try and like come in between the two of them. Yeah, but I've never tried to protect a soldier or demo man that way, besides attacking what's attacking them.
Okay. Cerberus Dog is asking, your team got wiped and you're the only one alive in the mid-fight. What would you do? Like, would you just like go retardedly in, like without knowing the HP, or?
It depends. If I'm still like near enemies, I'll just go ahead and fight them and die, so I get the same respawn wave as my team. If I'm nowhere near, there's no point in me just running in and getting a worse respawn time, because then it's gonna be 5-on-6 and I'm down for no apparent reason, unless I see somebody like insanely weak, or I see no like health particles, or I get the call that they're all raped, and then I really got to play it based on air. But if I'm still in the mid fight, I'm gonna finish out the mid fight. If I'm near enemies, but if I'm like all the way out already, I'm just gonna stay out unless they're weak enough for me to have a shot at winning that fight, because you don't want to die when there's no point in dying. Unless I'm trying to go for an uber unless I'm trying to make them Uber and they don't see me and I have the opportunity. So if I have the opportunity, fine, I'll go in. But in most cases, I'll stay out or just die, just so I'm staying with the team in the same respawn way.
Yuck is asking, what is your DM strategy against scouts? Just pressing A and D, like how would you track? How do you track the scouts? Because like you said, you kinda, you like to rape scouts, so like what's your secret?
Honestly, I have movement based on when I used to play Quake, so I didn't really develop much of a scout style. It's just the style that I play with. I try to use my movement to be able to hit them better, and basically I just want to finish the second shot. There's no real key to doing it other than having just that aim ready for fast moving players. I mean, I didn't do anything special to develop that. It's just that's what I'm strong at, and I'm weaker against soldiers than the Shruggers and Ruins of the game. So I don't know. There was no real development in that area. I just sort of, it's just play by ear, and I'll stop my movement at occasional spots and I'll kind of jerk their mouse. But that was basically what I learned from Quake. That's how I learned it.
You have played Quake, or you still play?
I used to play the captured flag in a lot of team games like TDM and Rocket Arena 3 and stuff like that. So I developed my aim through that.
Yeah,
but
it's good for like TF2 hit scan, so Scout is just perfect.
It's a good basis just because it's the most DM centric game before TF2 existed. But at this point, if somebody wanted to get better at TF2, they should just play TF2.
Yeah, because there is like like you mentioned, the deathmatch servers, MG, and so on. And when you, for example, started playing, there were no MG and DM, so it was rather hard for people to practice, I would say.
Yeah.
Right. So Mayova05 is asking again, how often do you Uber scouts on a push, and when should you do it?
I like doing it when there's like a roof or something small, like let's say in 2, because you can't get a high enough jump to get away from me. So if it was like going into 2 and there's a roof here, go ahead and Uber a scout, because they're just going to push right through you and they're going to be quicker than you can get out. But if it's like an open area like 2 yard, then you can just Uber whoever you want, a soldier, scout, depending on whatever you want. Our team usually likes having at least a scout somewhere near the combo, based on picking off classes that are going to attack the medic once the soldier jumps away. But if you're doing a solo scout push, it's usually good on last pushes, because they're usually areas where the soldiers, if they're near, can't get away as easily. So that's where I would push scouts, but other teams have done it differently, so it really just depends. Scouts are good on Ubers though, but you need to make sure that the scout knows he needs to slow down occasionally so the med can keep up.
Yeah, because like if you just go like randomly and then you do nothing and the Uber just fades out and nothing happens, you don't want that.
One thing I've learned from Banny is what he tells me to do is when I'm Ubering in, make sure nothing gets past me. So if something stays behind me, I should kill that too. Instead of just keep pushing forward and trying to kill as many of them as possible, because I don't have splash weapons. I should just get the kills that are separating from the combo and are probably going to keep the rest of our team out if I don't kill them, kind of thing. So always look behind on Ubers, make sure you're not passing by things.
Cyzer is asking, when Ubering through chokes, do you find your team in more successful with solo Ubers, like on Soldier Downman, or with a split like Uber with maybe scouts?
Ideally you want a solo Uber or one other person. You don't want to split too much because your Uber is going to be really short. But with that being said, you want as much of your team in as possible, because they are going to scatter on your Uber. So if he has to flash to protect people, then go for it, because keeping people alive is more important than a good Uber, solo Uber. So ideally, you'd want to just keep it on Lange, our soldier, and let him kill as many people as possible. But with that being said, you don't want to lose players, so always prioritize keeping people alive over keeping one person alive as long as possible to get kills, because frankly, you need your team to win.
Okay, there's a few more questions and then we're gonna be done. Rick Star Hero is asking, what is more important? Like, what would you say? Dodging, aim, or smart decisions?
Smart decisions by far. I mean, let's look at Ruin, one of the smartest scouts in the game. He's been successful based on his smarts, then his dodging, then his aim in that order, and all three of those things are very good. You need to make smart decisions, but you need to also be able to back them up. But the smart decisions always come first, and even the most aggressive scouts in the game are usually making pretty smart decisions based on what they feel they can do. So I would always prioritize smart decisions over everything else.
Okay. There was one more, like a good question, but it's rather long, so if you can like focus somehow. It's from the teamfortress.tv forum thread. I just kept it because it was rather special and I said long. So it's questioned by huhyam.
Oh, ultimate killing machine. Okay, okay.
You have played this game at an invite level for a while now, but for a while now you had a reputation as being good, but never quite as big a threat as the top scouts. Around the time you moved from EG to MG, the EMG team, it seemed like your skill level took a pretty big jump, and you established yourself as a real top tier invite player. Do you feel that was due to legitimate jump in your skill level, a change in how the community perceived you because of your new team, or something else? If it was a jump in your skill level, what did you change as a player around that time in terms of practice or mentality? There you go.
Okay, that's a multiple answer question too. I feel like I was always one of the invite scouts, but as the game progressed, I had to get better with the game, and I felt like I did that quite well. Like, I'd go season from season, and even now, I feel like I improve from one season to the next, and I feel like that is my strength, is that I constantly am improving. Like, I did have a pretty big skill jump going from dynamic to EMG, but that's basically because I've pretty much stayed dedicated to the game and I've been practicing a long time. So and I'm a bit older too, so it takes me a little longer to get the concepts that those 18-year-olds can get so easily. So it's taken me a bit longer, but yeah, I get it slower, but I'm getting better and better, and my aim improves and all that. But with that being said, one of the most dramatic skill jumps came with playing with Banny, based on the fact that I used to play with teams that would never really criticize me, or well, not criticize, but give constructive criticism. I feel like one has more negative meaning than the other, so I'm going to say constructive criticism. Whereas that Tyrone as well. Tyrone is a big contribution to my skill jump. Tyrone and Banny would tell me things that they would like to see differently and like to see me do, which, you know, made certain things click in my head, like, oh, okay, I shouldn't just be running in certain locations. I should be doing this to help the team. So a lot of improvement is based on communication with teammates, which I didn't really have on older teams, unfortunately, and that might be why we didn't have as much success as those guys did.
So, so you would say that the BP team is like the best team that you've been.
Oh, on a TF2 standpoint and skill and improving and all that, by far, yeah. Like I've won the 2 championships with them. I've gone to Europe with them. I mean, that's stuff that didn't happen with like my older teams, of course. So, I mean, yeah, there's just a lot of good vibes, a lot of good knowledge I picked up in that team, and a lot of it helped. And just by being around those guys that care about the game this much just made me like care that much more, right? Like I was like before I was playing it more casually than I did now. So playing with those guys made me really think about how I play and what I can do to improve, even if they stopped, you know, like giving advice and whatnot at a certain point. It made me think, okay, what can I do differently? How can I improve? And also the competition around this time just also got a lot better and a lot more interesting, and the game changed a lot more to suit scouts, and it's just a lot of factors that went into making me a top tier scout rather than just somebody who's like good at invite.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a factor of things. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, that Czech 6 team that went perfect in ESEA is a lot to do with why I got better, because it was just like interesting to see these players, and it made the game that much more interesting to see that the old complexity pandemic days were finally done, and now all these new teams with new strategies and new ways to play the game were coming, so it kind of reinvigorated my interest in the game too. So I don't know, a lot of factors went into me improving as significantly as I did in the time that I played with this team specifically.
Okay, so then the last question, named once again, is asking, what do you think about Boston Bashful? Like, do you use it? Like, when do you use it to build Ubers for your medic?
I
Like,
use
do you
it a
even use it?
lot. I wouldn't care if it was out of the game because it makes me sit there building with the med, and I find that boring as hell. Nearly as boring as playing NG on G-Pit. So I wouldn't care if it was out of the game and we made the soldier do it. But I will always use it, and I will, if I'm with this, if we're all even health and we need someone to build, I'll go ahead and build with the medic, because the Boston Basher is so consistent. The soldier can ammo, so it's always the best way to build, unfortunately. But I would not be upset if it was removed from the game and put back into soldier focus to build the Ubers up, because I hate doing it.
Okay, fair enough.
I want to
Okay.
be out there shooting things.
Okay, so that was it. I would like to thank you, Cyzer, for coming over to do this mentoring session.
No, thank you.
It was, like I said, rather difficult to find a scout, but my contacts are the best, so they were like, get Cyzer. So there you go. So yeah, thank you again for doing this Gullywash mentoring session, and I'll hopefully see you later. And
Thanks everyone.
yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this mentoring session, make sure to follow me on Twitch TV. Follow me as well on Twitter, and join my Steam group, since I mainly use my Steam group for any kind of updates, like with a stream, whatever, like giveaways. So the next mentoring session is going to be with the Dellman. I'm not sure who yet. Maybe Cadus or something. We'll see. I'll make sure to announce everything. So thank you once again, everyone. I love you, and I'll see you hopefully in like a week.